Kia ora everybody, welcome back to the podcast. This is Creative Curiosity. I'm your host. My name is Te Haunui, and today I wanted to talk about my first film experience. Some of you who follow the journey, you may have seen that I had my first experience on a film set over December and January. So this episode is going to be about my whole experience, the good, the bad, the ups, the downs, lessons that I took away from it, and everything in between. First off, just want to preface it with saying that, there are some things in there. If you're a part of the film with me, there's some things in here that you may surprise you. But this is my truth, so I'm just going to share my story. I'm not going to say any names. There's no need for that. But there is also no need for not sharing your truth. Last year at the start of December, December 2nd, and I'll put a video in, for those of you watching, I'll put a video in. I recorded myself on set, my first day. It's about 5:30 in the morning. And for those of you listening, I'll play it, so you can listen to the audio as well. Just got to base, super excited. A few cars here, trucks and things. I'm just going to go into our camera truck and get my movie stuff ready. Nervous but excited at the same time. It's going to be a beautiful day. Full moon is out. 2nd of December today. This is the start of the next chapter in my life. Ooh, let's go. So 2nd of December was our first film, and I had 2 roles on the film. We were split into, for the first block anyway, which was 3 weeks, we were split into 2 cameras. We had a camera and a B camera, as well as other ones, but most of the time was 2 cameras, A and B. And I was a second assistant camera on the B camera, as well as a movie technician. Movie technician is a movie is a type of stabilizer. It's a gimbal for cameras, and the one that we use is better for heavy cameras, heavier cinema cameras. And second assistant camera, my job there was writing the information on the slate, or the clapperboard, which is if you've seen behind the scenes, or if you've seen anything related to a movie, you probably have seen somebody with a clapperboard, and they get it in front of the camera and they say something like 24 alpha take 2, you mark it, clap it. So you do that, write the info, as well as writing what are called camera sheets. You write down the data, which records all the information to do with their camera and every single take that you shot on their camera, so that when you get to the post production phase, editing, they know exactly what take they're looking at, and with their take they know the information related to the camera. They know all the settings of the camera when they shot their take, so they can sift through all the information quickly. So that was another one was charging batteries, making sure our camera had all the batteries that they needed, making sure that the first AC, or the first assistant camera, which is the focus puller, they're the person. So cinema cameras, they have they don't have autofocus, so you have a person who pulls focus, and that's the first AC. They do that, as well as build a camera, among other things too. But they have their role is more senior to my role, which is second AC. And then you have a camera operator, who's the person who literally operates the camera. And my job really is to assist them in their jobs, to make their jobs easier. Anything that takes them away from that job should be on me, in the camera department, for B camera anyway. So that was your second AC and movie operator, and both of these jobs I'd never done them before, but I was eager. I was keen to get into it, super excited. As you know, people who've been following know I've been wanting to get into the film industry for the last couple of years, and this was it. My first time on a film set, and man, was it a baptism of fire. The movie, I'd say I only had about 30 minutes to an hour worth of experience with it. And even then, it wasn't really that much experience. It wasn't enough to be confident that I could deliver in the way that I knew that I needed to deliver. So I was super, super anxious and nervous about that leading to day one. And with our camera and the lens and everything on it, the weight was really, really close to the limit of the movie too. So I was nervous about that. And in the movie, when you don't get things, if you don't know what you're doing and you don't get things perfect, it's not going to work, like any piece of tech. So it was very specialist knowledge. And on day one, the last shot of the day, everybody was waiting for me. And I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. It wasn't doing what we needed to do. Nobody else knew. I was supposed to be the person who knew how to sort that problem, but I couldn't. And then, so we ended up not using it. And it was a tough pill to swallow, because I told myself before going into this film that I didn't want anybody to wait on me, and they shouldn't. It shouldn't matter that I'm a new person. All those other people have paid their dues. They've done all the mahi, and they're professionals. So you expect them to have a certain level of expertise, and mine was 0. So I had to learn super quick. And it was a couple of weeks, of working through some hearty kinks, with my roles and trying to figure things out. Like my first slate I did, super confused, how to slate it and how to say it. It was all of this information, everything was new. The way things were organized, the way you communicate, the way you ask questions, who to talk to ask the right questions, you know what I mean? And yes, it was drinking out of a fire hose, drinking out of 10 fire hoses, at once. But I loved it, it's the space that I've been wanting to be in for so long, it feels like. So I was, as intense as it was, I was keen, eager, still, wanting to take it on, learning those quick lessons that you need to, and then moving on, because there's no time to wait. You have all these moving parts, have different people, different departments, all working together to make a movie. And there were heaps of points where I had to keep telling myself, take a second to myself to remind myself that we're making a frickin' movie. And I did that a few times, and I was grateful to take out those times, throughout the shoot, to just remind myself, that this is what this last couple of years have been for, to get onto a movie set and work with creative people who are actually making movies. So it was amazing in that sense. It was intense, it was literally sprinting around at points, trying to anticipate things, but also trying to think about all the different factors that go into knowing that anticipation is good, knowing that a decision that you're trying to make before you get asked to do something, trying to calculate all these factors to make sure that that is the right decision to make. Not that you make heaps of decisions, but my decisions were just grabbing something that we're not using right now and then bringing it to where all our gear is to use it, for that. And you try not, from what I observed anyway, and from my small experience on the set, it was about trying to prepare for things that we will be doing, and simultaneously not bringing unnecessary things. Trying to keep our equipment as light as possible, just bringing the things that we need. So it was all of those things, trying to juggle, and we were getting instructions on what to do, how to do them, this and that. And on our camera test, we did the camera test the week before we started shooting, And I understand that you do a camera test before every film. Oh, not a camera test, I lie. It was camera prep. It was a week of camera prep, 5 days, which is making sure that all our camera gear is in working order. Everything related to camera is accounted for, working. We've got redundancies, we've got backups, preparing for the worst, preparing for every sort of weather situation, making sure that we didn't need anything other than what we already had. So that was a week of that, and that's where we sort of got to learn the ropes as quickly as possible, because the people who taught us those things, they still had to do all of their things in a timely manner, so they were prepared before we got into the shoot too. And one of the things that we were told during this time was, because of our superiors that understood that we're new to this, that there were a few of us that were new to it, and they encouraged us to ask if we were unsure about anything, to just ask, because the equipment is too expensive to handle if you don't know how to handle it properly. So it's not worth trying to not bug somebody by asking them a question and just dealing with equipment and possibly breaking it. So that made sense. Ask questions if you don't know. And so on the film set, there's times, heaps of times when you ask questions, and then the person that I was dealing with the closest, she's a good person, but when she's under pressure, she can't handle it, and she takes things out on other people. I can only speak from my own experience. Whenever we were under pressure, she'd take things out on me, blame me for things, just be ratchet, like say unnecessary things, be disrespectful, treat me like an idiot, for asking questions. Like whenever I'd ask questions, especially things that were simple to her and obvious to her, she'd just give like weird answers, like, yeah, of course, like obviously, say things like that, and just made me feel like an idiot, made me feel stupid for asking. And at those first couple of weeks, in particular, I had all the questions to ask because I didn't know how to do everything. I didn't know how to do anything, really. I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know where things were. I didn't know, whenever she'd ask me for things, if I didn't know what it was, I'd say, what is that? And she'd just say stuff, like I'm an idiot. It made me feel real stupid. And, unnecessary stuff. But, I just wore it. I was just like, oh, maybe this is just how it is. So I just carried on and, just said, oh yeah, okay, yep, sweet. I'll grab things that you needed. And then there's heaps of times where, as we were going, we're learning the process, learning how they work, learning how we're expected to work, and you learn a bit at a time. And then there were times where I'd get asked to grab something, and then I'll go grab that thing, come back with it, and then I'd get blown up for not grabbing the whole bag or the whole case that thing was in. And then I'd make a mental note. I'd be like, oh yeah, sweet. So every time this person asks, or every time she asks for that thing, grab the whole bag or grab the whole tub or whatever the thing is in, so she can have all of the accessories that go with that thing. This is just an example. And then so next time, that'll happen. Oh, can you grab that thing? Then I'll go grab the whole tub or the whole thing, bring it back, and then I'll get a growling for bringing the whole thing and not just bringing that specific thing. So I'll be like, getting confused. But okay, I'll carry on. Yep, sweet as. Then there'll be times where, one example in particular, I got told, and I was on B camera, so there was 2 cameras majority of the time in the first 3 weeks anyway, they were rolling. And I got told, whenever B camera is set, whenever we're ready, and if A camera needs assistance, we go and help. So I was like, oh yep, cool. And then there was an opportunity one day to help A camera, help the assistant second AC for A camera, which is, I'm a second AC for B camera. And then I saw, we were all set, we were ready, like we were just standing by waiting for instructions for our camera to move or do whatever. And then you have grips as well, who they deal with camera rigging as well as holding cameras, and all of those sorts of things they deal with. Rigging for camera, and they're also in this shoot, they were really helping us do anything that we needed help with, if they were available. And at this point, the camera was set up on the Movi, just chilling on a hi-hat, which is it's a place for a camera to sit. I'll just leave it at that, too long to explain. And the camera, whenever it's unassisted, if it's not locked into something, someone always had to be with it. And in this instance, we had a grip with it. And then the assistant for a camera needed something, and I was by it. So I said, oh, yeah, sweet. And we were on radios. I said, oh, yeah, I'll grab it. It was a bag. Grabbed it and went and took it to her. And then got a growling for helping her. And then I turned around and I got a growling that no one was with the Movi, and I didn't even know that the grip had left. And she just really blimmin' got into me. And then I, try to explain myself, just saying, how was I to know that the grip was just going to leave without telling me? If he had told me that, I would have just went back, I would have went back and just stayed with the camera. And then the other thing is, like, don't blow me up for helping with a camera when we're not doing anything and you told me to help with a camera. Just all of these hypocritical things were happening. And then I think it was towards the end of week 2, I just reached my boiling point. And it was literally from the get-go. Day 1 was just being treated like an idiot, really. Every day, all day. And I was just wearing it. I'm new. I didn't know any different. So I was just, taking it in, trying to learn super quick, as well as dealing with everything else, other people, other departments, all of that, who were all mean. And then, on this day, we were towards the end of the day, almost wrapping, and by this point I had learned not to assume when we're gonna wrap. Even if our camera is not being used and we're 10 minutes away from wrap, to never wrap our stuff fully unless we explicitly get told from, like, the first AD, which is the first assistant director, or the director, or we get told from our superiors in the camera department that it's a wrap, and then we can officially start packing up our gear, putting it into the trucks, ready for the next day. So by this point, keep that in mind. I had learned not to wrap things. So what I did, and at this point, the lady that I was working with, she was away shooting some stuff with our camera operator, and I was just with our camera gear, and I had been thinking, like, oh, shall I wrap it? Time's running out, we probably won't use it, but I won't assume that we should wrap right now, so I'll leave our stuff. Like, I tidied all our stuff, I made it so if we did get told it's wrap, it was easy. We just needed to wheel our stuff back to the truck and pack it up. And then she got back, and then we got told it was wrap. And then she just blooming started getting into me, started moaning about how I didn't wrap. Like, oh, you've been sitting around doing nothing, you should have wrapped. Should have already done this, we could have been already going home now. Just saying stuff like that, and I was, in my head, I was just like, I think I may have even said that I didn't want to wrap in case we used our cameras, because it had happened. It had happened a few times where it'll be 10 minutes to wrap, and it would think we're going to wrap, and then they go, oh no, we're going to use your camera, so, and then, I was like, oh yeah, whatever, and then started wheeling our stuff back, and then she just kept going, and she's a person, I don't know why, but, instead of just saying, oh, you should have done this, even that was unnecessary, you're just saying that, but she just goes on and on and on and on and on, just doesn't stop. And then, so I was back at the truck packing stuff. She's still going from when she started, which by this point, it would have been a good 20 minutes, non-stop. She kept moaning, and then, the thing that tipped me over, and keep in mind, this was 2 weeks of just been handiness leading up to this. she just went, oh man, like, you should have done this ages ago. I think you're just lazy, you're just lazy. You should have already done it. Now look, we're taking longer. This is like, this is not me quoting. The only quote is, you're just lazy. But yeah, she was just saying all of that stuff, and I remember just being pissed. And if you know me, I'm a placid ass person. Like, it takes heaps for me to get angry. And this was it. That was the boiling point, and that's the first time I've ever been that angry that I was just like getting hot, and I was just like looking down and just grabbing camera shit and just putting it in the truck so I could just go home. I just wanted to get out of her face. Still going in my ear, and then that's the first time I've ever wanted to push somebody. Nah, actually, I lie. It doesn't sound nice, but that's the first time I've ever wanted to kick somebody in the face. Not that I would have, but that's how angry I got. I got that angry that I felt like I could kick her in the face if she got in my face. And I've literally never in my life been that angry. And then, that was a scary thing too, being that angry and feeling like you're not in control a little bit. And then, we wrapped up there, went back to unit base. Unit base is where all the trucks and trailers and everything go for the film set. And then we usually at the end of the day, we pack our stuff and we put batteries on charge, all of those things, so we're ready for the next day. And then we have like a little bit of a, how was the day, all of that stuff with our little camera crew. And this day I was just looking down, not even talking, wanting to cry. And then when it was time to go, I just left, didn't even say see ya to anybody, jumped in the car, took off, sped home like 140, 150. And, just that angry that I didn't even care about speeding. Got home, just jumped straight in bed, and then Sunny, my partner, came in to the room and just saw me obviously off and just asked what's wrong, worried, and then didn't even want to talk. She goes, do you want to talk? And I was just like shaking my head, didn't want to talk, but I'm glad she kept talking to me, and eventually I talked to her and then just started crying. And then just said how shit it all was. And I told her, everything more. This is not even everything, I'm telling you. Some of it I can't even remember. It's, this was at the start of December. It's the middle of March now. And then, I told her what had happened, and, obviously she would be angry, for me. And then she told me, like, you need to say something. So I did, and I was surprised that I actually did, because I don't like confrontation and conflict, and I always try to see the best in people. If people do, like, I usually view people as good people, like everybody as good people, and when they do bad things, they're just a good person who did a bad thing, Never as, or not never, but hardly ever view people as bad people. And this person is not a bad person. Just keep that in mind too. This is a good person doing bad things. And then I said, yep. So I texted one of my superiors. And I'll read you, actually, let me do this. Let me read you the actual text so you can get a bit more context. And I'm not going to say any names because it's unnecessary, I think. If you know, you know. But this was the text. Here. So this was on the 7th of December. This is 1 week. Shit. Only 5 days. This is 5 days into it. We started on the 2nd of December. The 7th of December. I said, kia ora. Hey, when you're free, can I have a chat with you, please? I'm really struggling at the moment. And then she rang me up, and then we spoke, and I told her about it. And she said that all of the stuff that was happening to me shouldn't be happening. That's not normal. That's, you shouldn't be treated like that. So yeah, and then she said, thank you for reaching out. I'll talk to her. And then she, spoke to her, and then the next day, straight back to it. Just been more days of being treated like you're an egg or like you're an idiot, and then so yeah, it was more of this, and then it got to, I've got it on my phone, hang on, it was more of that, and then it got to 3 days later, 10th of December, which was when I just had it up to here. So kia ora to a few people, my superiors. This is me reaching out. Hope you fellas had a good day. I hope you guys had a good day. Just messaging to be transparent. I love work, even all the hectic nature of it. I thrive on that because I have to learn quick. What I don't appreciate is how this person that I'm talking about, how they talk to me and treat me. She expects me to take initiative and tells me off for not doing so. Then when I do take initiative, even when it's correct, she tells me off for doing so. She blames me for most of our mishaps, even when they aren't my fault. She expects me to know everything, and when I ask questions about stuff I don't know, she replies like I'm an idiot and she'll already know. She does a lot more than this, but the message will be too long. She makes me hate going to work, and if tomorrow is more of the same, I'm not going to do the second block. So yeah, that was my word for word verbatim message. And yeah, and then stuff was changed after that a bit. The next day I wasn't working with this person again, which was cool, but it was, it just felt like putting a band-aid on a sore, just dealing with the symptoms as opposed to dealing with the problem. And it carried on for a little bit. Not as handy, but still unnecessary stuff. But yeah, so there was the dark spot on what was otherwise an amazing film experience. Met some amazing people. I got to see a film getting made. I got to see the filmmaking process firsthand. Got to see different departments, different roles, see what they do, how other people work together. You got to see how heads of departments communicate with each other. You see how heads of departments, especially like the director, how he conveys ideas, how he communicates with people to make sure that those ideas can be conveyed in the right way. Got to see all of these amazing things, and then there was this bad spot that was on the whole experience. And yeah, and one of the takeaways for me was I know that when I make films, and if I'm in I want to be a director. I'm going to be a director. But when I make films, I know that if I'm in a position to do so, I'm not going to have anybody on set like that, no matter what role you're in. If you're a person who doesn't know how to treat people properly, no matter what pressure you're under, it doesn't matter if you're under the most immense pressure in the world, there's no excuse for consistently treating somebody badly. So that was a bit of a vow I made to myself, because what matters more to me is how you treat people. Like, I don't care what accolades you have, I don't care what sort of value you add to the world, I don't care how revered you are. If you treat people like shit, you're an egg, pretty much. And it's, you've heard it before. Don't look at how people treat people in high places. Look at how they treat the waiter. Look at how they treat somebody who opens the door for you. Those sorts of things. It's how you treat everybody. That it's how you treat people with seemingly lesser roles. Treating them properly, treating them respectfully. All of those things came into the mix. So that was my experience. I'm sure those of you who were on the set with me, and if you didn't know this stuff already, I'm sure it was probably a bit surprising, to say, at least a bit surprising. But I knew I couldn't experience all of that and not share, my story, especially being my first experience. And it's also for me, it's about encouraging other people who are in similar scenarios, people who are working for people that they don't like, to encourage you to take your own power back, whether that means quitting and doing your own side hustle, making it a main hustle, whether that means talking to a superior to make some changes happen, all of these options. But definitely, if you have a choice, which I hope you do, and I'm sure you do, if there's some hard thinking, you have a choice, to do something about it. You shouldn't have to tolerate dealing with disrespectful people, no matter what you do. It's just not worth it, and although all of that happened, it's made me even more sure that I want to be a filmmaker and that I want to be in the film industry, tell stories. So yeah, that's the takeaway. Is although it was shit, that part of it was shit. The rest of it was mean, like ultimate. This was ultimate. Although that part was shit, I still want to carry on, down this path. So yeah, that was the journey. Learned a shitload. I learned what I was capable of. Capable of a lot more than I thought I was. Learned that you can jump in the deepest end of the pool and swim if you've got no other choice but to swim. So yeah, hope you fellas enjoyed this episode. It's been a long time coming. I was thinking of making this episode as soon as the film finished, or as soon as we finished shooting, which was towards the end of January. It's middle of March now. Hope you fellas took something away from this. If you know somebody who you think will get some value listening to this, please share it with them. Let them know. And thank you fellas for listening. This is Creative Curiosity. My name is Te Haunui Tuna. See you fellas in the next one. Mauri ora.